Flipping from the defense to the offense, another name came out, Cooper Kupp. Apparently him and the Rams, something's going on there. Would he be a good fit in Washington? Before that, I said this in the group chat with you, me, and Ab. It's kind of funny that all of a sudden, they're so ready to get rid of him and get him out of here. Is that something we should be concerned with?
Right. And I don't know if it's a contract thing. I don't know if it's, he's had some injuries, and so they just feel like, he's on the downward slope. The first one, I was like, oh, Cooper Kupp. Well, what's it going to cost? And I'm like, I'm not giving a first-round pick for Cooper Kupp. But then, this is just one person. But they were saying, like, no, with his contract, with his age, and, you're looking at maybe a third-round pick, but likely a fourth or a fifth. And if that's the case, I think you got to look into that. I mean, yeah. They talked about, he would, go over the middle a lot, and it's like, oh, well, that's where Zach Ertz was. But the more weapons you can provide JD5, I think we have to do it. So I think it's worth a look into. I think I'd rather go with the first guy, depending, even if it costs us a lot, not an RG3 trade, but even if it costs us a lot, then Cooper Kupp. But I think it's worth exploring. Yeah.
I definitely think you have to look into it. I mean, obviously, we still are looking for that wide receiver number 2. I know Terry was saying Diami's it, and shout out to him in those 2 games in the playoffs. But Noah Brown getting hurt, and Zacchaeus kind of getting in from time to time. He had fumbling issues a couple of games. These guys are good and good extra pieces. Luke never really showed out this year. To have that solid number 2, we've been talking about it since day one. To get a guy like a Cooper Kupp, who we've seen how well he's able to run his routes, and you see his ability and how much of a threat he can be. And if we are potentially getting him for the price tag that you're talking about, where it's a lot lower than maybe it was at his hype at the peak, I think it's a steal. And I mean, honestly, you start looking at that, you give JD5 2 guys that have great hands and can be game breakers.
Yeah.
I mean, I said, you'd have to. But again, a lot of that goes with, like you were saying, what we do with Myles Garrett, how that whole thing plays out, and the price tag for Cooper Kupp. Because if they're still looking at him as, he was at the height where he was maybe a first round or second round pick, I might pump my brakes on that. But yes, it is definitely a position that we need to focus on. And I know you and I have been looking in the draft for notable wide receivers. But again, this would be kind of similar to Myles Garrett, where what he comes to the table with. How good he can be. Now you implement that into this offense. Now all of a sudden, okay, I don't have to worry about re-signing a couple of these other guys because I got 2 guys in here that I know will bail my quarterback out. And that could be huge for us.
Right. Yep. Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.